You know what's funny? We invented a phrase for doing exactly what you're paid to do. We called it quiet quitting, like it's some sort of crime. Like showing up, doing your job well, then going home to actually live your life is revolutionary. And here's the thing, it is. We've been so thoroughly broken by hustle culture that basic human dignity now feels like rebellion. This isn't about laziness. This is about something far stranger. Let me paint you a picture of how we got here. Somewhere in the last few decades, work became a personality. We stopped having jobs and started having identities tied to productivity. The language shifted. Suddenly, we weren't working. We were crushing it, killing it, grinding. We wore our exhaustion like military medals. I only slept 4 hours became a flex. Responding to emails at 2 a.m.? That's dedication, baby. Then 2020 hit, and our homes became offices, and whatever thin line existed between work and life just evaporated entirely. The average knowledge worker now checks email 17 times per hour. 17. That's not a job. That's a digital leash. Enter Gen Z. They're the first generation to start their careers in this hybrid hellscape. And they inherited something special. A workplace already burnt to cinders, now monitored by algorithms. Every keystroke logged, every minute tracked, every bathroom break potentially flagged as low productivity. There are companies, real companies, using software that takes random screenshots of your screen, tracks your mouse movements, analyzes your facial expressions on video calls to measure engagement. And Gen Z looked at this dystopian nightmare and said something beautiful. Work your wage. Not as rebellion, as survival, as basic mathematics. They recognized that when AI makes you more efficient, companies don't give you your time back. They just expect you to do more. The spreadsheet that took 5 hours now takes 30 minutes with AI. Cool. Now do 12 spreadsheets instead of 2. Efficiency gains never trickle down to workers. They evaporate into executive bonuses. So young workers started doing something radical. Their jobs. Just their jobs. The actual responsibilities in their job descriptions. Then they log off. They protect their evenings, guard their weekends, reclaim their mental space. They're not failing the system, they're refusing to be consumed by it. And we called this quiet quitting, like it's pathological. Like having boundaries is a disorder. Like being a complete human being with needs and relationships and dreams beyond your Slack status is somehow antisocial. Here's what's actually happening. An entire generation is realizing that loyalty is a one-way street, that companies would replace them within a week, that you can give everything, your health, your sleep, your relationships, your joy, and still get laid off in a mass email. They've done the math. It doesn't add up. The ick they talk about, that's not entitlement, that's clarity. That visceral feeling when you realize you're being monitored like a machine rather than trusted like a human. When you understand your worth is being measured by your availability rather than your actual output. When you're expected to perform gratitude for the privilege of being exploited efficiently, so they show up, do excellent work, meet every expectation. Then they leave. And managers panic because they've confused presence with performance for so long, they can't tell the difference anymore. Let's talk about what this actually is, because the framing matters. When someone sets a boundary, when they say, I will work my contracted hours and then live my life, that's not laziness. That's courage. In a culture that glorifies self-destruction, choosing to protect yourself feels rebellious. But it shouldn't. This is the distinction nobody wants to make. There's actual slacking, showing up late, ignoring responsibilities, delivering garbage work. That's unprofessional. That's not what we're discussing. What we're talking about is intelligent boundary setting, understanding your scope and delivering it excellently without letting mission creep transform a 40-hour job into 60 hours of unpaid labor. It's saying yes to projects that align with your role and no to the endless quick favors that metastasize into your entire life. It's recognizing that sustainable performance requires rest, requires space to be human. The AI paradox is exquisite. We were promised liberation. Automation would handle the tedious stuff, freeing humans for creative work. We'd work less, accomplish more. Instead, managers saw efficiency as opportunity to extract more value, not improve lives. The tools meant to free us became surveillance infrastructure. But Gen Z flipped it. They're using AI for themselves, deploying tools to manage schedules ruthlessly, automate busy work, create visibility into their actual workload so they can push back on unreasonable requests with data. They're establishing technology-backed boundaries, using the very systems meant to monitor them to protect their time. Meanwhile, employers are missing the memo entirely. Traditional micromanagement has doubled down in remote work. Unable to see bodies at desks, managers compensate with constant check-ins, endless meetings, surveillance software. They confuse visibility with productivity. Gen Z doesn't want bosses monitoring every move. They want leaders who trust them, who provide clear objectives and step back, who measure output and impact rather than hours logged. They want purpose, not just paychecks. They want to understand how their work connects to something larger. They value flexibility, not as a perk earned through loyalty, but as a fundamental requirement for mental health. When companies offer pizza parties while demanding unpaid overtime and constant availability, young workers disengage quietly. They do the minimum and save their passion for life that actually values them. Forward-thinking organizations are getting it. They measure output over hours, create psychological safety where employees can admit capacity limits, use AI not as surveillance, but as genuine productivity enhancement. They recognize competitive advantage lies not in squeezing exhausted humans, but creating conditions where people do their best work sustainably. Because here's the thing, quiet quitting is a symptom, not the disease. The disease is workplace culture, viewing humans as resources to extract rather than people to develop. The cure isn't more monitoring, it's fundamental respect. So here's the philosophical shift nobody saw coming. Quiet quitting is a collective awakening to a simple truth. Our value isn't measured by our exhaustion. We're not more worthy because we sacrificed health, relationships, and joy on productivity's altar. For too long, we internalized that dedication means destruction. This generation is rewriting that narrative. They're proving you can be excellent without being exhausted, committed without being consumed, professional without being perpetually available. The question isn't whether quiet quitting is good or bad. It's, what does your relationship with work cost you? And is that price worth paying? Are you giving your best hours to something that would replace you in a week? Or are you building a life where work is important but not everything? The quiet quitters have answered. They've drawn lines, set boundaries, chosen themselves. Maybe it's time we got quieter about loyalty to systems that don't love us back, and louder about what we actually need to thrive. Because you're not a resource, you're a human. And that used to mean something.